You probably know the Constitution.
We ready? Call to order the regular Common Council meeting, Monday, May 4th, 2015, 7 p.m. Roll call.
Baves?
Here.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Here.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Confirmation of appropriate meeting notice.
Meeting was noticed on Friday, May 1st. Agendas posted at BMO Harris Bank, the Post Office, Library, and City Hall.
Council acceptance of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Personal appearances for non-agenda items. If there's anyone that wishes to speak on anything that's not on the agenda, you can do so now. Okay, we'll move on. Consider the approval of minutes from April 20th.
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consider the approval of the April 21st council reorganization meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Finance Committee.
Motion to approve bills and payroll list in the amount of $178,062.03.
Motion to, did you make that motion?
Yes.
Second.
Any discussion, questions on the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Maves?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
There are no licenses. Motion to approve an event packet for Kids Fishing Derby sponsored by the Edgerton Conservation Club and waive the fees.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yep.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Maves?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to approve the development agreement with Edgerton Gear.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Maves?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes. Motion passes.
Motion to approve a facade grant for 110 Henry Street in an amount not to exceed $4,731.
I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Maves?
Yes.
And that passes.
Motion to approve funding for the Edgerton Chamber marketing campaign in an amount not to exceed $4,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
No.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Maves?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes. Motion passes 5-1.
All I have for finance.
Plan Commission. Want me to read them first here?
Don't matter.
First item is to consider approval of a preliminary certified survey for 115 and 117 Swift Street and 124 Henry Street.
I'll make that as a motion, Chris.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Maves?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item is consider adoption of City of Edgerton Resolution 1015, approving the final certified survey for 115, 117 Swift Street, and 124 Henry Street.
Second.
That wasn't a motion.
I'll make that.
I can't make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
Mapes?
Yes.
And that motion passes. Next item is consider introducing and approving the first reading of City of Edgerton Ordinance 15-03, amend Section 22.210, official zoning map for properties at 115, 117 Swift Street, and 124 Henry
I'll
Street.
make that a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mark Walnuts?
Yes.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Mapes?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Next item is consider introducing and approving the first reading of the City of Edgerton Ordinance 15-02, amend Chapter 22, Section 22304, 5Z, and Chapter 29, Section 29.01 to allow chickens in residential districts.
I'll make that a motion. And I'd also like to include 2 amendments. I'd like to amend that we allow 6 chickens, and I also would like to amend that the coop is to have 4 square foot required per chicken that is to be contained in it.
I'll second that.
So currently, you're bumping it up from 4 to 6.
Correct.
What's it require now, Mark, for does it decrease the amount or increase the amount of space you need per chicken in a coop?
This minimum requirement would be 4 square foot per bird in the coop.
Because you're adding 2 extra.
No, it's just if they have 1 chicken, it needs to be 4 square feet of coop.
Huh.
For humane reasons. That's the standard suggested area.
Was there any, Bill, can I talk on that? Motion
Yes.
second?
Well, do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You know, in the past, we, I don't know if this is the time, but we've waived the second readings, you know, and the adopt in case they need to get this going or something, you know?
You can, if there's a
Just a question.
particularly pressing issue, you can waive a second
know.
reading. I don't know that this is of
it's a
such moment.
Can I ask a question, Chris, to the audience?
I think we should let
Okay, Bill.
Attorney-
I was going to say of such moment that waiving would be appropriate.
See, I don't know if they need to get this going, chickens going, is it time of season or not, you know? If we waive the second reading, you can start right away. That's where I was going. I don't know if it's a quick thing need to be done, quick in the spring. I don't know that. Maybe Bill can ask.
I sure as heck can't, although my sense is that chickens are year-round. They just go into a laying pattern, but
Okay.
I'll defer to experts on this, whether or not a 2-week delay is momentous enough to waive a second reading.
No need to defer. If it does,
If the orders do need to come in, it is a seasonal ordering schedule, so that it is important for people to get those orders in now so they can.
I've said I would veto a motion to approve the second reading tonight, so
okay. Oh, I didn't know.
it's not going to pass the second reading tonight anyhow, no matter what the vote is.
Okay,
I want
well,
this.
I
I want this out there for the public for another 2 weeks in case there is some changes. The chief has some concerns,
Oh,
so
I just don't think we should rush into this whole full barrel. I really have some problems with letting the chickens roam in all of your backyard. I see a lot of young children. It's not a good playground for the kids. I don't like chickens, but I can go along with them being in their fenced-in chicken range, legal chicken range in a coop. But to have them free rein in your backyard, that's...
I feel if the yard is fenced in, that I think that would be up to the homeowner if they would like to do that. I've been around chickens my whole life and always had them roaming and never had no issues. And I raised 2 kids with chickens, so, and they very much enjoyed having them and taking them to the fair, so I have no issues with that whatsoever.
I too was born and raised with chickens, Chris, and our chickens also had free range. However, this was a country, rural farm setting, not a residential urban area.
I understand
There's
that.
a ton of difference in that. And it just does not sit well with me. And
All right, I've got a question. With your bumping it up to 4 square feet minimum per bird,
Yes.
are we still going to be able to get under the maximum square foot?
6 times 4 is 24, and the maximum square foot 75.
Okay.
So there'd be no issue there, but it would just be making sure, to assure that if somebody's going to have 4 birds, they have the minimum square footage suggested per bird, so they're not trying to fit 4 or 6 birds into a 4 square foot area.
Okay. What's the current dog and cat license?
You're allowed
Uh,
4.
4, I think, for the dogs.
The cost?
Cost.
Oh,
$5
5
for
for,
dog.
well, it depends on which county, but 5 and 10 for Rock County, and it's higher for Dane because they charge more, the county charges more.
That's an annual license?
Correct.
It's more after the end of March, and then it's more if they're not spayed or neutered.
Correct.
we need to establish a minimum fence height too, if we allow free range in the backyard. 4-foot fence is not going to contain chickens.
I would also,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
we discussed this, yeah. 4 foot is,
Cover, and you couldn't possibly cover your whole backyard, could you?
No, that would be the choice of the homeowner to cover it.
and 4 foot is standard in poultry fencing.
Okay, if anyone speaks from the audience, please state your name and address for the record here, please. Candy?
So I wonder what happens if you are, so I addressed this the last time, but this is a little bit different. If you are in a subdivision that has covenants that does not allow fences, I wonder how that would work.
Then you can't have chickens. That's that simple.
Does the covenant supersede a city ordinance?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, does it? Okay.
So, yeah, that's a good point. That covered that one.
Okay.
Chief, you had some concerns. You want to present them now?
You guys are starting to touch on a couple of them, fence height. The reason I got some concern, I'm not against chickens. I says, but when some issues happen, if you can think of it and think that it's never going to happen, it's going to happen, and the phone calls aren't going to come to City Hall, they're going to come to us. So I'm just going to have to have some answers as to what is going to happen and what are the rules. I think there's some other ordinances that are going to go along with this that I think you're going to have to look at over the next 2 weeks to see if you want to change these, doing some things as far as animals at large. They're going to be included in chicken does get out. I mean, it happens. How's that going to be handled? Are you going to include them in the animal at large ordinance along with dogs and cats? We start having problems with the neighbor's dog was fine until the chickens were let out, and their dog on the other side of the fence now barking at the chickens. Who's at fault here? Who's causing the noise? There's just simple little issues, right? They're off the wall questions that I have, but trust me, they're going to happen. And like I said, we're going to get the phone calls, and then we got to come up with something. So I think there's some other ordinances you're going to have to try and figure out. The fence height, yeah, clip the wings, that's going to work. Is it high? It's going to depend on the breed. Is a 4-foot fence going to hold a small chicken in? Now, if it's scared, where are we going to go? And these chickens does get out. However, who's going after them? How do we know whose it is? Dogs and cats have a tag. We can find the owner. How are we going to identify a chicken if by chance we get to see one? As far as us chasing them around, I don't see that happening, but someone's going to bring in a chicken, and what are we going to do with it? Where's it going to go? How long do we hold it? Does the Humane Society going to take it? I'm getting smirks, but trust me, we're going to get the phone calls.
You know, Chief, you raised some excellent points. I don't think, well, they were not addressed, obviously, at the presentation. And
that's why I want to try and don't rush into the second reading. Do some thinking on this over the next 2 weeks, because there's other ordinances I think you're going to have to change to bring these in, not just make this one
a good point
to allow one.
Yep.
John Fry, 606 Village Street. Perhaps, officer, we could speak to some of the neighboring communities, police departments who allow these ordinances, and we could glean their experience.
And that's fine if they have something else in it. Like I said, we have an animal ordinance that addresses cats and dogs at large. Doesn't touch chickens. We had a peacock out at Racetrack Park get out. That's a lot of phone calls. The wings are supposed to be clipped. They were. They just didn't get around getting them done again, and that's a tall fence. There's little things, there's other ordinances that I think are going to come into play later if we're going to get these phone calls involved in. I just need, how are we going to answer them? I just don't think we've touched on all of those yet. Are they going to be included with the numbers of, there's a number of cats and dogs, you can have a certain number. Are these going to be included in that? You have your limit of cats and dogs plus chickens. That's just I wanted to bring and touch on, make you at least think about it.
As far as identifying the chickens, there's a very simple solution there. They make leg bands for chickens, and when somebody comes in and pays $10 to get their license, they would be appointed a number, and that number leg band would have to be on all their chickens. So when the chicken comes walking in your office, you'd know whose it was.
But that hasn't been thought of yet until somehow be identified.
As far as numbers are concerned, we already have a set number for dogs and cats, and now we're establishing a number for chickens on top of that number.
So you're going to allow the 6 chickens on top of the number of cats and dogs that you can have?
I guess that's kind of how I was understanding it. But I understand your question, that whether or not that's a good idea or not, but that's, I guess, how I interpreted it.
I don't care which way it goes. Yeah. I just need to know which way.
So it's defined, yes.
So I think I hear Chief say there's just a few more things to probably think about
just other
that could impact other things and ordinances that hadn't been, and I think that's a very good point. And I understand you're not saying you are or are not against it. It's just that's another person kind of bringing some other thoughts to the table that we might need to think about.
No, I'm fine with that. And the leg bands, do we add cost onto the permit?
Actually, that would be their responsibility to get the leg bands. You can buy them at any agricultural place, farm and fleet. You can probably get them where you pick your chickens up at.
So have them bring them in?
You would just assign them a number when they get their license, and it's their responsibility to make sure that they get the bands and get them on their chickens. It's the same as a dog license. You're supposed to have your dog license and a tag on it. It would be the same with the chickens.
Do the tags come numbered, pre-numbered, or is there a tool that
you can get them pre-numbered, or you can put numbers on them?
Okay, so you can like a felt tip.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I'm sorry, since I might end up tweaking this, what was your understanding of the impact on the overall number of animal units or animals on the property?
I interpreted that we would have whatever numbers are already designated for cats and dogs would remain, and then the number for the chickens would be possibly in addition to those numbers.
I would agree with that.
Fitzsimmons, 610 Dory Street. Both of my neighbors on either side of me want to have chickens, and I feel that if you go through all that work of making a chicken coop and making it enclosed and everything, that they're going to do the best they can for the chickens not to get out, but I mean, only certain people are going to be building these pens for the chickens, not just anybody,
You have no objection, June?
Pardon?
You have no objection?
No, I have no objection, no.
Catherine Hansen, 612 Doty Street. I'll just travel down the block here. So I just want to reiterate what June is saying.
John Keppel, 123 Dakota Drive. So I'm an educator in Madison, and I just feel like chickens are a really great way for young children to learn about the world we live in. You know, food is not just bought at the store. Food comes somewhere. And the more we expose children to where food comes from, how it's made, the better consumers we have. The more all-around the things we eat.
Okay, any more discussion here? Read the motion back, please.
The motion is to introduce and amend the first reading of ordinance 1502 with the amendment to allow 6 chickens and the coop be 4 square feet. The coop be 4 square foot per chicken.
Minimum. Was it like, do we need to make a friendly amendment for the leg banding also, or will that come up at a later?
We had that.
That can come up at a later date.
Amongst a couple of things that come up too.
Yeah.
That can all be added in.
Can all be added
Still not
in.
have a drastic effect where it would kick this
not what I've heard thus far. No.
Okay.
That way we can look into what kind of bans are actually out there.
Yeah.
What was the number of the chickens, Cindy?
6.
6? About 4.
I just made
I amended it in the motion.
And the reason for that is that I feel if somebody's going to go through the trouble of building a coop and go through, the necessary steps to do this, that, 6 would be more.
6 square feet for
6 birds, 4 square feet per bird, depend upon how many birds they get. But I just think if they're going to go through the trouble, why not allow 6? If it's well within the reason of the square footage of what's allowed maximum.
Well, that's pushing it.
Say, Bill, do you have enough information put together for that second reading along with the mayor or the chief and stuff?
Based on what I've heard here, yes.
Okay.
And 6 maximum, you don't have to have 6, so that would still keep it under the required space. So. Any further discussion?
Well, we're incrementally moving closer to getting this set right, Chris, and hopefully everything works all good next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, that next meeting.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Chris Walnuts?
Yeah, no.
Oh, Mark Walnuts,
yeah.
sorry. Mark Walnuts.
Yes.
Chris Walnuts?
Yes.
Maves?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Davis?
No.
Thomas?
No.
Passes 4-2. And that's it for Plan Commission. Thank you all for coming down. We'll continue with the meeting here. Park Board, anything from there, Mark?
I have nothing at this time.
2 weeks.
RDA, I think we covered some of that earlier here in Finance.
Right.
Fire District?
We have a meeting on Thursday at 7 o'clock.
And next item is consider mayor's appointments. I have none to make tonight.
Is there openings, Chris?
There's
Commission? And did you fill that?
Dale.
We didn't appoint him yet.
We didn't? Oh,
I don't think
I
so.
thought he was on the list. I don't have the list with me.
I'll have to check.
Alternate on the Fire District. And probably some election workers if you have somebody in mind
Election workers actually get appointed
at the first of the year.
Yeah, December.
Mayor, alderperson and staff reports. May 17th, you have the Kids Fishing Derby. Hope Mona's enjoying her night off, and congratulations to Bailey.
That's joking for.
Yeah. He's in there. Dale's in there.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have anything?
No. You got anything, Chris?
I'm done.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Carried.
I guess I would like to see a couple of.
Mine is very colorful, just so you know.
Candy, how did you
I
get
got
one?
two.
Huh?
How did you get one?